and welcome. I'm Shivani Singh. If you thought Donald Trump's America First policy was just about tariffs and tweets, think again. It just went kinetic. In the middle of the North Atlantic, somewhere between the icy waters of Iceland and the Scottish coast, the US military has done something that was once considered unthinkable. They boarded and seized a Russian-flagged ship. On Wednesday, a 2-week high seas chase ended in a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller. US Special Forces, specifically the legendary Night Stalkers, rappelled onto the moving vessel, ending a game of maritime cat and mouse that had stretched from the Caribbean to the Arctic Circle. This wasn't just a routine boarding. It was a massive show of force involving American and British warships, spy planes, and heavy gunships. The message to the shadow fleet is clear. Your flag is no longer a shield. The vessel is the Marinera, but don't let the name fool you. Until a few weeks ago, it was the Bella One. It was a ghost ship, a veteran of the shadow fleet that helps Iran, Russia and Venezuela move oil when the rest of the world looks away. This isn't the only seizure that actually US carried out. America also announced the seizure of another sanctioned tanker, the MT Sophia, which it said was conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. But Washington is now no longer looking away. It's actually moving in. Let's look at the timeline of this high seas drama. It started in late December in the Caribbean. The US Coast Guard tried to board the Bella One under a judicial warrant. The crew refused, they turned off their transponders and disappeared from the radar and made a run for it. While fleeing across the Atlantic, the crew didn't just change their course, they changed their identity. They painted a Russian flag on the hull, renamed the ship Marinera and registered it with Moscow. It was a classic get out of jail free card, or so they thought. Because normally a national flag is a sovereign shield. You don't board a Russian ship in international waters unless you're looking for a war. But Donald Trump's White House just shredded that rule book. For 2 years, the Marinera was shadowed by the US CGC Munro. High above, P-8 Poseidon surveillance planes from the US and the UK kept watch. Then on January 7th, the hammer dropped. Elite Navy SEALs transported by the legendary Night Stalkers of the 160th Special Observations Aviation Regiment descended onto the deck. They didn't care about the Russian flag painted on the side. They didn't care about the temporary permit Moscow had issued on Christmas Eve. Let's go beyond the scenes of these operations. It was planned a week ago, after the ship, then known as the Bella One, evaded capture in the Caribbean. Once it hit the Atlantic, the US and the UK began amassing a strike package. According to the Times, at least 14 C-17 Globemaster transport aircraft and 2 heavily armed AC-130J Ghost Rider gunships landed at the RAF bases in Suffolk and Gloucestershire last Saturday. The Globemasters weren't just carrying supplies. They were hauling 5 MH-60M Black Hawk helicopters and an MH-47G Chinook. These are the chariots of the special forces, and on Wednesday, the world saw them in action. Visuals from Russian media actually captured the moment. You could see the Night Stalkers hovering over the deck in their little bird helicopters before the troops hit the deck and took control of the crew. But here is the geopolitical twist. The UK didn't just watch from the sidelines. British Defence Secretary confirmed that the RAF provided surveillance while the Royal Navy sent a support ship, the RAF Tide Force, to assist. Haley was blunt. He said that the UK will not stand by while malign activities increases on the high seas. Why the aggression? Because the Marinera isn't just a ship, it's a bank on water. Haley revealed that this single vessel had moved 7.3 billion barrels of oil for Iran over the last 4 years. And the proceeds? They didn't go to the Iranian people. They went to finance terrorism, instability, and proxies across the world. For the UK and the US, the Marinera was a vital artery for the Russian-Iranian axis. By taking it off the map, they aren't just seizing oil, they're cutting a financial lifeline for Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine and Iran's regional ambitions. US Vice President J.D. Vance called it exactly what the administration thinks: a fake Russian tanker. A desperate attempt to use a flag as a camouflage for sanctions busting, and the fallout? It's massive. Moscow is fuming. The Russian Ministry of Transport has called this a violation of international law and outright piracy. They claim that under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, the high seas are free and no state has the right to use force against a registered vessel. But here is the catch. The US is calling the Marinera stateless. They are saying that the reflagging was a sham. This isn't just about one empty tanker. It's about the 500 other ships in the Russian and Venezuelan shadow fleet. By seizing the Marinera, Trump has sent a message to every captain in that fleet: your flag won't save you. This also ties back to the chaos in Caracas. Last weekend, US Special Forces captured Nicolas Maduro. Now the Trump administration says that it controls Venezuela's oil supply. They are enforcing a total naval blockade. The Marinera was allegedly on its way to pick up Venezuelan crude. By stopping it, the US is cutting off the financial oxygen of what's left of the old regime. But there is a risk, a very real one. Negotiations to end the war in Ukraine are at a delicate stage. Putin has already sent a submarine to the Atlantic to escort other tankers. We are seeing a game of chicken played with nuclear-powered assets and multi-million-gallon oil tankers. If a Russian warship had been there during the boarding, what then? The world is entering a new era of maritime volatility. The freedom of navigation that the West has championed for decades is being redefined. Is this a necessary crackdown on narco-terrorism and terror funding, as the White House calls it? Or is it a dangerous precedent that could lead to direct conflict between NATO and Russia on the high seas? The Marinera is now being towed to a US port for final disposition. Its crew faces federal prosecution, but the real trial will be in the diplomatic halls of Moscow and Washington. Trump has called the shadow fleet's bluff. Now we wait to see if Putin raises the stakes. Thank you for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.